Surprise, I'm still here. Welcome back to the Paladins Minor League. We're currently in the North American bracket, except for this time I'm not joined by Gormizer. I'm here with Nick.
Hello, everybody.
Greetings and salutations to all of you that are still here, that are still watching. We appreciate it so much. And then right now, I believe that we have it's Sanguine that's about to play, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really interesting in terms of I'm very interested to see how they're going to adapt this game and how they're going to continue on throughout this set.
Yeah, Sanguine and Exile going to go head-to-head here in what Kresnik at least has dubbed the Vein and Aspect grudge match.
Yeah.
These are two guys that used to play together on the Splice PPL team, if you can remember back that far, long time ago. They actually, I think, lived together when Kresnik was playing with them on Bork as well, but they'll be going head-to-head this time around. Sanguine is looking like a very scary squad to
100%.
take down, though, man.
Yeah, they are as well. We're going to take a look at the North American standings real quick and look at the fact that Hype Unit is currently in the lead with 2-0, previously known as the Shadows. Sanguine, 5-Stack Esports, and Exile all in position right there for the North American standings.
This one's going to be tough. Exile need to kind of start digging themselves out of that hole. 0-2, but only -3, which means that while they have lost those two sets, the two sets were pretty close. So.
Right.
Not all is lost. I think a lot of these teams, were pretty shaken up in these past couple of splits. The Shadows has become Hype Unit now. They got a whole bunch of new players. There's a lot of things changing, especially in this North America, and frankly, even in the European scene. All across the minor league in general, there's been a lot of stuff that has changed in terms of the roster. So couple of weeks here to settle into these new rosters. A lot of people in Europe playing with substitutes, even All Business playing with a substitute today, but still managing to get the win there. We talked a lot about Madara. He was kind of popping off in that set. I don't think anybody playing with substitutes this time around. This is where I expect to see those rosters really start to mesh. They've been practicing playing with each other for almost a month, if not more. So we're expecting to see kind of what does the final form look like?
Right, yeah. I completely understand that as well. We're going to take a look at the map bans just to see what these teams have in store for us in terms of what they want to get rid of. Ascension Peak and Splitstone Quarry are both gone for Sanguine and Exile, respectively, followed up with Shattered Desert and Fish Market as well.
Okay. Not frankly super surprised. Those can be kind of conceived as niche bans. We just saw Splitstone, but everyone has the maps that they don't necessarily enjoy. So you're gonna, I think Bright, Jag, that's really what I'm expecting. That real standard rotation of non-prohibitive maps where a lot of different things can be run. I think people enjoy those maps for the most part. Gives you tons of flexibility, room to kind of do your thing in the draft and not put yourself at a disadvantage.
Right, exactly. I mean, just overall from today, Paladins Minor League has been extremely great in terms of its map picks. So much diversity. Bright March is the first map, however, that is picked for Sanguine versus Exile. This will be pretty interesting. It's the first time today that Bright March has been picked. First pick is what I mean.
Okay, so loading on into the draft again. Things you're looking out for, your Drogos, your Willows. There's a couple of Blaster players in this set that are really absolutely worth talking about. Neo specifically, he's one of the few guys still out there that loves to play the Bomb King.
Right.
That's a pick that's really, it's almost akin to saying Makoa's fallen out of favor.
Right, yeah.
Right, Bomb King's been on top for so long in the Blaster category, but he's just not the flavor of the month at the moment. Willow's kind of the new hotness in the Blaster category. Even Drogos, I would say, is put above him. Eevee, if you want to throw her in that category as well. The bans are locked in. Barrick actually is going to find his way there. Again, second pick. Sometimes you ban out that random A+ guy who gets plugged in almost any draft and works to make sure something like Con Ash is open for you. You get two power picks when the pendulum swings your way.
Right,
in this
decision.
game, you win or you die.
Leon
there is no middle ground.
To that. The Con is picked. You did mention that. You said Con Ash was a very common combo. We've seen it all day today pretty much, where people would mostly go for the Con. Once they lock that in, they get that Ash for that extra sustainability. Just the fighting potential. Willow is locked as well. That makes sense because you literally just mentioned it. Blasters on this map, especially Drogos and Willow, are very important.
I will fight to protect the sanctity of the wild.
So here's the deal. People sometimes will pick Leon preceding the Willow because they assume, our Leon player and just Leon's kit is scary enough to dissuade you from wanting to pick a Drogos, any flanker, Willow, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a big statement by Sanguine saying, we don't care. We don't care that you have that. That's not going to work on us. We're going to call your bluff. We're going to pick this. We're going to pop off with it.
Right.
Yes, you have this paper matchup that's going to look good, but again, so often does that stuff go out the window. If Leon dies, Willow can literally just fly freely around, dominate. Even if they're both still alive, if Leon gets poked out, Willow can still take that matchup and win. There's so much if you have confidence in yourself, and I think Neo is going to. On Willow on Brightmarsh to have a huge impact. Dead zone against Grover as well.
Yeah,
just like I just talked about, picking a Willow into Leon, picking a Grover into a Willow on paper, it's kind of risky.
Yeah, kind of risky. Kind of a risky spot to be in, especially when you have Whirlwind. We had seen it before earlier today, not only on Stone Keep, but a few other maps where Grover was picked. Once Caught 2s actually came online, he was completely irrelevant. So imagine the damage a Dead Zone could do if he's caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. They do lock in Drogo's in response, though, to just Sanguine's entire comp right now. I do like the Fury. I think that adds a lot of fighting potential for them to have, a lot more than they already do on Sanguine's side.
They want to get aggressive, a Fae Flight into an Inflame, that's a lot of big bonus damage. I've got my eyes on Neo today. I want to see Sanguine kind of return to their former glory and be one of the top teams in this region.
Well, both teams have been locked in. This will be game one. Casters, take it away.
Thank you, gentlemen. Game one of set 3 about to kick off here. You got Sanguine, you got Exile, you got Dolson, and of course Goremizer on the mic here for set number 3. It's going to be a fun one, Gore. I'm excited to see how Brightmarsh plays out. Got a little Willow into Grover action. Should be a fun one.
It's always a fun one, I think. And these two teams, much like Europe and what I was saying about them, still think there's a lot to be proven in North America. I think we might have a little bit more divisive team separation. But that's kind of what this week is for. This is going to show me whether or not, like, Exile have surprised me. If they can win this set today against a team like Sanguine, then they knock it out of the water. And I think that's exactly what I kind of want to see. I want them to be impressive today.
Sure.
But beating Sanguine is just such a tall order. I mean, it's five guys that have been around for a long time. Neo has beautifully made this switch onto off-tank as well.
Yeah, I agree. And, this is the last of the matches that these teams haven't played against another team in their region. So this is the first look at Exile and Sanguine, is the short form of what I mean by that. So you'll get a really good glimpse by the end of today, kind of where a lot of these teams stand. It's a long split, but, this will be our first little bit of detail into that storyline. Sanguine, first one's onto the point here with about 15%. One pick in the game onto Exile, onto the Ashe. That's all they need. Aspect forced to vine out of that one. Look for that dead zone around that Grover healing ring to probably have a big impact this game.
I'm also anticipating, maybe, well, based on just that early in Narwhal and now the double kill coming down from Neo, this is going to, I think, start to, well, showcase what I expect to see today. Is how much, like Aspect that he's played with Vayne, how much do you know about how he wants to play? How much insight does that actually give into Sanguine? And how much can you match toe for toe? I mean, Drogo so far has been kind of shut down. This Willow Poison's been getting a lot of splash damage on the sides. This is, so far, just great from Sanguine. Yeah,
weaves that one right through the window, finds the kill onto Aspect nonetheless. So now you're down a healer. This payload makes its way. Lots of low health bars for Exile right now. Neo double kill to seal up the point capture, looking for a little bit more here. One more, maybe two more burst shots onto Jay will do it. Lives with about 700 health here. Long shot, though, so low. Stigma finally going to clean up the con in this case. Almost doing absolutely everything he can from up here. Tosses out a salvo. Does enough damage to help Longshot clean up Neo. Baller Steve, though, trades one out. Payload rounding the final corner, though. Ever so inching closer. Second after second. No stop yet from Exile.
I mean, we've seen a lot of really, really strong starts, I think, from teams today where it goes up 2-0 and then they don't quite seal the deal. But,
yeah,
I mean, this is locking Exile in base. Longshot almost has no presence here on the side in the fight and hasn't even been able to charge his third dominance yet. You're going to have Imos going in, but I mean, you waste the Dragon Punch, essentially. Yeah, you get the kill, but you lose your life for it.
Yeah, Dragon Punch and Flame traded out 1 for 1. Imos, as you said, went in there. Was able to find the kill, but drops his own life. And with Longshot going down, now it's all down to Jay to try to get in here and make something happen. Whirlwind is going to try to heal up a little bit, but actually instead the kills are coming up all in favor of Sanguine here, and they do go up 2-0. A little bit of icing on the cake there. Imos drops on the Drogos, 1-3 and 2 on the Dragon, but a great start from Sanguine.
I mean, solid round for the 4-1-7. You get the 3-0-6. the 207. Like 2 members undying, one of them being your support, the other one being Stigma on this Cassie, who is 10,000 damage above the next highest. Like,
yeah.
He's just, I mean, he's doing the Cassie thing, right? Chilling in the back, getting all the free shots, but converting that into kills, Neo being able to kind of step up and hit anything he sets up for him as well. They just have a lot of damage pressure, and I think Atlas is showcasing why he gets banned a lot right now.
And you look at the healing numbers as well. Doubling up healing of the Grover on the opposite side is Baller Steve here. You know, maybe the dead zone comes into play there. If nothing else, it's definitely inhibited a little bit of that healing ability. Assert Dominance drops down from Longshot. That's going to clean up Vayne here in this case. Sanguine off to a 4v5 disadvantage. Exiles onto Imos up in the air, drops the dragon out of the sky. Just a bit of a positional advantage now for Sanguine. Neo using the second chance, but unfortunately it delivers him right to the doorstep of Exile. Good setback. These trades need to come up in favor of Sanguine, as Exile already has 62% on the point.
Yeah, it's honestly the best thing they had going for them was the fact that they dropped Vayne so early, so they were just able to move in and take control of the objective. Not quite, I think, as much as they wanted to. There's still a lot of pressure coming from the side, coming from apartments, where Sanguine were kind of bolstered, but that 62%, especially when they have comeback mechanic, is going to close to 100 really fast. So pressure on Sanguine more to just never relinquish control at this point.
Yeah, they're going to look to use Inflame on the side of Sanguine, try to turn things around right here. Unfortunately, no kills for them. A calculated collapse there from Exile drops everyone from Sanguine off. Stigma, the last one alive, nearly trades out. Would have been a consolation prize, though, as Exile get themselves on the board first.
I'll be honest, watching it back and thinking about that round, I don't know if there was anything really, I mean, there was some differences. I think dropping Vayne early, like I said earlier, was a big difference overall, but they just play aggressive, more aggressive, I guess, from Exile. They take it to Sanguine as the fight. They don't let them like find the decision themselves. Depending on how this Dragon Punch goes, which it's just going to not go, is going to be solid. But I mean, just as hard as Sanguine hit them early on, they bounce back and punch back as best they can.
The rare scouting Dragon Punch. Imos is going to end up getting the kill onto Poison there. Jay uses the overpower, finds some success onto Poison here. Force back. Nice double kill there for Bagel Wow. Good cleave damage. Must have been one of those ability rotations. Grabs him a nice double kill there. Vayne, last one alive here for Sanguine as this payload starts to round the final corner. Complete flip to the script from what we saw on the first side. Now Sanguine forced all the way back up into their base. They're going to have to drop to the low ground. Only Willow, unless Nara is running Summit 5, which I highly doubt. Not going to be able to retake that high ground here in this case once you drop down. So the Atlas in this case is going to take that. Neo, though, first to drop down, and the Faith Light for the Will is going to start things off. Enlightenment ripping through from Vega Wow in the background. Looking to win this trade on Imos up in the air. One more shot will do it. He's unable to. Poison finds the final shot, and Flame as well. Really want to force back this offensive push from Exile, and if nothing else, they've done that. Still a minute left on the clock, though. Payload very close to going through.
I mean, a couple of good shots here could potentially, well, actually turn things either way. You have a lot of damage getting thrown down onto Stigma. He's going to get isolated and killed off. Neo as well. You don't need the Assert Dominance there, but it's certainly going to help you stay aggressive, and this is looking like a bad spot for Vayne.
Yeah, it's a double kill for Longshot. Looking to make it 3 on the fight. Going to get nice and healed up is Vayne. Payload inching ever closer. Seismic Crash might have to get used. Not going to have time to do it. Nobody in range to contest, and Exile tie this one up.
I mean, yeah, Neo's going to be able to get a consolation kill at the very end there. But it's only so much, right? In the grand scheme of things. You tie it up 2-2, and I think in the most beautiful way, right? It's not, oh, hey, they captured, we defend, we capture, they defend. It was, we capture, convert, you capture, convert. It's just two teams, behemoths, just punching each other as hard as they can. This is the one where things are going to level out, and I think you're going to see one maybe step forward. Stigma is another person to look at. I mean, 2-0-7 the first round.
That's
3-4-9 right after that. He gets 1 more kill, 4 more deaths, and 2 more assists. So not quite the clean round I think they expected.
No.
The streaks now starting to burn up. But Longshot using that assert dominance so close to the end of the round means he doesn't have it. That's part of the reason I think they were able to be so aggressive. That's part of the reason they got the kill on the Vayne first last round. So how they approach this round knowing that they're at a deficit in that area will be big.
Toss out the Ziggs. Aspect has Whirlwind to top off those health bars. Woo. Nice shot there. Imos on a Neo. No more Atlas for now. Dragon Punch coming out. Not sure he's going to be able to find a target with that one. Might time out, but just in time he connects with the back head of Vayne here in this case. No more Inara. Good salvo. Forces Sanguine to back off here. The health bars are melting. Looks Looks like Cassie might be the last line of defense here. Good fire spit's gonna do it to Stigma. 51% for Exile here, and Sanguine, they go searching for point number 3.
That was the most Drogo's thing ever, is I'm going to shoot this entrance, this entrance, this entrance, this entrance. All right, if you're just going to stay in there, then I'm going to shoot around the corner. Dragon Spit, get the kill, and a beautiful zone as well on top of that. I mean, Exile, after that first fight, didn't seem worried about anything.
Yeah, talk about a complete flip to the script. This one looked like it could have been sub 10 minutes, but in favor of Sanguine. They didn't really even have a chance to use any of their ultimates. They got off the scout. But Exile's Seismic Crash, Fayflight, and Flame all still up and ready for Sanguine. They're going to use some now just to buy some time on the defensive end. But Exile were able to use much more, much quicker. It was really, honestly, only the overpower and the Dragon Punch, but they win the mid-fight nonetheless.
And honestly, all you needed was that little bit of control, right, from Exile. And I think it's dealing with the Atlas, dealing with Vayne. I think dealing with the front lines on this takes away so much of the pressure Sanguine have, that you just do that when the DPS are all that's left. I mean, Stigma's going to be able to get a couple of return kills there, but he has to go all out for that.
Yeah.
He puts himself in a bad position to do that. You still a minute and a half left, and the payload's still moving forward. Like, you just wait and regroup.
Exile are looking to seal up the game here. No ultimates ready for them. Only the Exiles and Scout ready for Sanguine. Good salvo forces Vayne back here. Going to use the Scout. Ziggs up and flying. Imos trying to find a little bit of poke damage as well. This is where Sanguine, the players have to make the choice of, do we drop down, try to force forward, find these good lines of sight and help our team? Do we kind of sell out this final corner and try to fight from the high ground? At the moment, it looks like they're going for the high ground. Dragon Punch, though, might start off this fight in favor. Looking for a pick, finds one on a Neo, trades out his life, though. Aspect is still alive. No Whirlwind this time around. You still have the overpower. Exile is going to use that one on a Stigma. You're not going to have Cassie for the end of this one. If Vayne drops, this could be the game.
Honestly, they isolated their threats real early on. They're going to keep it rolling. That includes the payload.
And it rolls right on into home, and Exile, after a 0-2 start, a fast 0-2 start, end up playing the next 2 mid-fights. I think of this entire week of Paladins, we've had, that is the only game where every single push was successful, I think. We saw so many defenses yesterday. This one, every single push is successful. But you get 2 caps, 2 pushes for Exile.
And honestly, I think Exile they adapted so perfectly from round 1 to round 2 to round 3, where it's just, what went wrong? It's like, well, there was a really good Inara wall, an isolated long shot, and Neo went insane very early. So, kill Vayne, kill Neo. And that's how they started the next couple rounds. They were like, just get rid of the tanks, and all of a sudden, they don't have as much pressure to kind of fall back on.
Absolutely. I mean, standings-wise, technically an underdog in Exile, swinging up, punching Sanguine first. That's been kind of the theme of the day. Whoever's able to swing first puts himself at a great advantage, and Exile does that here today. Slash lines might be a little sneaky given how heavily Sanguine won the first couple of rounds. Exile, of course, winning the game, though. Bagel, while hanging in there with Stigma, 87k damage for the Cassie. But well played, honestly. Across the board from Exile, Imos had a tough first half to this one. Ends up coming back to 12, 7, and 8. But Aspect, 6-2, 24, 30. 30 affected kills in this one for the healer. That's huge.
I mean, I was feeling the same way. Aspect staying alive, I think, as long as he did, was huge. And Jay being as aggressive as he was. Like, Jay is another one of those players in my mind that when I first hear it, the first thing I actually think of is going to be him playing Inara, right? But him playing the Khan this game was phenomenal. But you also have to give credit where credit was due, up in the skies and kind of creating a lot of space. And I want to say zoning out and controlling Stigma a lot more often than not was almost.
And he does it here. Good flame spits, good fire spits, confirming lots of kills. And you're so right. You point out, you love the Drogos play. Poke this window, poke that window, back and forth. Eventually, they're going to walk into one of them.
Or you don't move, and he just shoots down the middle.
Yeah, right. Either way, you're trapped. And that's why he's so good on a map like this. Up high above the roofs, but he can still find those angles. And the Drogos, huge game here. And honestly, a great turnaround from Exile. What looked like could have really snowballed in the wrong direction for Sanguine. Exile were able to swing up and find a win.
And honestly, I think even more impressive to have them hold on the way they did.
Agreed.
I think it's when you have a 2-0, when it's fast like that, the biggest thing that's going to change from the beginning of the game to round 2 is going to be they now have 300 credits. And we're feeling pretty demoralized because we just got 2-0'd. So not only keeping themselves in it, but kind of treating it like as the beginning of the game again.
Sure.
Was really well done.
And you got to be happy with that. Starting off the set, swinging up, upsetting at least in game number 1 on Bright Marsh is Exile. You can't count out Sanguine, though. Game 2 right after this.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins minor league.
Welcome back to the Paladins minor league, guys. Exile with game 1 in the books, doing really well on Bright Marsh, pretty much surprising everybody. Dave made a good point. It was an upset, actually.
Yeah, technically is an upset. This team, like we mentioned, undefeated, or nothing but defeated. There needs to be a word for that. 0-2 start for them, but they're only, I think it was -2 in the map differential. So very, very close losses. They're only losing by a map here and a map there. But against a team like Sanguine, who has made, admittedly, some roster changes, but for the better, you would hope. Nobody makes the roster changes with the plan of getting any worse now. You expect them to kind of start to build that synergy package, get a little bit better every single week. They've been dominant in phase number 1. They made it to land. They look scary in phase number 2. So this is it's a big win for Exile.
Oh, 100%, because I was like listening and also like watching the game overall, and I just saw that Grover, like, once again, Dave made another good point, just 30 kill participation like throughout that entire game. Like, Grover was really putting in the work of that game on Bright Marsh. He was really, really holding it together.
Grover's kind of been popping today.
He has been, actually. He has been showing up a lot in today.
Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Grover could be on the upswing here in the minor league, and perhaps even in the Premier League. Ice Mines, if you see him on Bright Marsh in this set, you're definitely going to see him on Ice Mines. And frankly, I've actually not minded it as much as I thought I would, seeing Ice Mines a lot more. I think people just getting better at it in general has led to the games going quicker, the games being a little bit more entertaining. Everything is more fun to watch when it feels you can watch it and say, oh, that's the plan. That was the strategy. That's what they were trying to execute there, versus just kind of like a cluster and everybody's just like, running everywhere and it's just kind of chaos. But when there's really an end goal and a light at the end of the tunnel for Ice Mines, I find it actually a lot of fun to watch. Canessa banned out. Stigma's in the set, so you got to do what you got to do, man. He showed it. I think that was week 1 that he whipped that out, and he went Stigma with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, well, actually, I think it was like last week or something like that. It was like Stigma had played Canessa, and I'm not gonna lie, I gave him a bit of a hard time. I was like, I've never seen Canessa on Ice Mines before, and I learned I did, because he definitely popped off that game. So that is for 100% sure a target ban. Khan and Willow being locked on Exile side once again. Khan's getting through a lot today, actually, a lot. I think he's been in almost every game that we've seen today.
A lot of frontliners, man, especially Ash and Khan both making it through. Second pick is employing that, ban a Cassie, ban Canessa in this instance. In last game it was Barrick. Ban something else to keep those power 3 front lines open and available. Sanguine down a game. They've got the Genos. They've got Maeve. Nobody picking Tyra. Drogo's still on the board. We actually saw Terminus.
Before.
Of all things, last set, or not last set, earlier in Europe. Also looking out for something, maybe the likes of Drogos for Sanguine. There's a lot of popular Ice Mines picks still open.
Barrick actually gets locked as the character choice, second character choice for Exiles this go around. Cassie and Barrick, they don't really have much to deal with the shields. I could imagine the Leon pick maybe to deal with that Willow, try and burst down the shield. Victor works as well too, but that's interesting that they picked Victor over Tyra though. With Hunting Party, it offers a lot to the entire team, just the damage and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering, like we've seen Victor before on Ice Mines, and it's worked because of Barrage and those grenades being able to hit those close areas. But I wonder why in this position, like, is he just that much better than Tyra in this case?
This time around, I think you have Maeve, who is Cat Burglar, so she has some self-damage amp. You've got Luminary as well. Do you need another one? Line of sight is oftentimes a big problem on Ice Mine, so being able to consistently get those marks. Stigma likes Victor, I think, a good bit more. Victor's range far exceeds what Tyra's effective range is, so I think overall, probably the right pick.
Here we go, game 2. Exile already taking game 1. Casters, take us away.
Take us away down into game 2. We find Exile up 1-0 over Sanguine. You can never count out Sanguine, though. Very, very good team. As we head into Ice Mines, nonetheless. You get Grover, you get Willow, though, this time around. And, you know, have we seen a lot of Willow on Ice Mines? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, she's been up and up. I feel like...
You're right. On the pushes, I think she's very effective.
Oh, yeah. A Fae Flight on a push... Honestly, depending on how you're going, I think, was it yesterday? Maybe it was sometime last week we had the morale boost that came through.
That's right.
That's the 7% being able to find the shots. If you put it on this map, yeah, you can seal the deal pretty well. The thing I think caught my eye the most and made me the most happy was the fact that Exile did homework, and they were like, you know what? We're on Ice Mines. Let's ban Kinessa against Stigma. Like, there's literally no other circumstance where I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But this was their
Stigma
moment.
ban. I mean, he gets Victor anyway out of the trade there, and you know, Victor has shown time and time again that Ice Mines can be a very fruitful map for him, especially if you just let him hang back in these upper window areas. And already starting off the game up high there, he's going to have a lot of healing right nice next to him there. Jay going very low here. Vayne trying to drop off her first blood of the game, forced him back if nothing else. Exile, nobody on the point just as of yet. Both teams looking for a first blood in this case. Just kind of poking at each other from across the map.
I feel like Vayne honestly should have been punished a lot more. It feels like kind of slow reaction time from Exile about where he was, but at the same time there was no urgency. Like, it's like that weird thing where it feels like, team, where are you? Like, come help me, screams the Barrack, and then everyone's like, you got this.
We're worried about other stuff.
Who cares? We'll see what happens. Like, either way, they don't get a lot of point percentage. It's still 24-3, and now you get your first blood after about a minute.
Yeah, almost finally getting the kill. Back and forth, checkerboard, up and down it goes. It's going to be the Willow with a double. Sanguine were able to find about 24% on the point. Now Exile with the zone. Not too punishing. We normally see more of a clean sweep where a team is able to really push out down the hill there. But Sanguine still with a chance. They had 24% on the point. Exile just now overtaking that. So maybe one more fight to go before this mid is decided.
Barrage charged up, gonna get dropped down. And it's really good for, well, exactly that. Hey, Cassie, you wanna peek through that window? Go for it. And chunks are down to half health. It's gonna have the Scout, gonna have the Fae Flight. They're gonna get some good shots, but still nothing crazy convincing. No big kills from Exile just yet.
Not yet, but they are forcing around this corner almost. He's gonna love what he sees right in front of him. Lots of grouped up, lots of low health members. Oh, Baller Steve, though, turns it around. A nice double snipe for the healer on Sanguine. Might have just saved this first round. Vayne's allowed to stay alive. Bagel Wow, though, trades back onto Poison. And that is all on Baller Steve, keeping this one in the balance for Sanguine.
Slowed him down about as best you could, being able to get rid of that pressure on the side, lets your DPS flush out a little more on the Ice Mines. And Vayne, all of a sudden, seems a lot more comfortable standing on this objective than he did about 30 seconds ago. There's going to be a Dome Shield drop down, trying to get some control and some semblance of control. Unfortunately for Neo, he's just getting bullied all game.
Yeah, he gets stunned up after the toss back there from Longshot. Overtime in favor of kind of both sides here. Bagel Wow and Almost find the first 2 kills. And that's all they need to push back. Vayne was the only one really in position to contest there. And they seal up point number 1, pushing for point number 2.
It was that awkward moment, and I think the right decision from Sanguine. There's no way you're going to scoop in and steal that last percentage, but you have to fall back. And it's always awkward when you're the last 2 left on the Ice Mines point five, and you're like, well, I mean, I guess we got to run, but like they're either going to catch us or maybe we won't be able to get into position in time. They're going to be able to find themselves right at home. But now you're in the I want to say the awkward portion. You've had enough time. Ults were charged up once. Some of those ults are charging up for their second time now. I mean, I'm looking at the Faye Fly being at 85%. And those are the ones that are key and crucial, potentially turning this into a 2-0.
Some of that verticality from Neo. Tosses almost off to the side, gets himself some stuns, gets himself some kills. Trying to run down the last few members of Exile here. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And they're going to get swept out. Good aggressive play from the Ashe there to really force Exile back. And now they can put the hurting on. Very unforgiving when you lose a clean team fight like that on Ice Mines.
Really good. It's not push. That's not the right term for it. But a really good defense here where you can press them back into their base is going to be, I think, ideal for Sanguine, obviously. But just burning a minute right around this corner is probably the best bet you have. Neo needs to stay alive. And so far, he's been able to do just that. And look how far he's run. Look how far people are going to chase him down.
Oh, he does it again! One. Baller Steve, you gotta stop, buddy. He gets a nice double kill on the back of his previous one. He's got 4 for 2 so far in this game, and yet again slams the door shut on the Exile push.
Neo's still alive, by the way.
Yeah,
he ran backwards. 3 people, I think, turned to look at him. 1 continued the chase, and then he finally was like, okay, guys, I guess I'll go regroup with my team now.
Yeah.
Now he's set up almost perfectly where he wants to be. 30 seconds left. And, I mean, Bagel's out here. He's getting the kills. There's only one more that really stands between him and, I think, getting back to the payload. But
yeah,
they burned, I think, every second they needed to.
Yeah, nice triple kill from Bagel is going to force back Sanguine now, respawning from their base. They will get back onto the payload. Overtime will begin here. Just depends how much space you can bring. 2 or 3 choke points that you're going to have to break through if you're Exile to get this one pushed on in. 4 ultimates ready. Faye Flight will charge pretty quickly as well. Sanguine don't have quite as much to work with, only the Midnight. Ideally, just charge up as much of that as you can because they will be ready for the mid. Might come down to the first pick here. Exile health bar is melting about halfway on a lot of them, getting a little bit of healing, almost off to the side, trading out with Vayne here. One more shot onto Bagel will do it. Good daggers there from Poison. Ultimate's just yet getting tossed out. Aspect gets cleaned up, and that's all they need for Sanguine to defend there. Kind of a calm ending to a hectic first few rounds here on Ice Mines.
2 in a row, by the way, for times and spaces there. Baller Steve just setting him up like that, and then, well, setting him up like this. This is probably one of the reasons, like, in my mind, you had to ask, that would have been a triple kill if Vayne hadn't killed Aspect, by the way. Either way.
What a stealer.
If you you run through, like, I think the most impactful support, I guess is the best phrase for it, on Ice Mines has to be the Genos. I think Grover is right up there with him right now, but these through times and spaces, they're just a little easier to connect, I think, on this map because everyone's so grouped. It's a little more isolated, or I guess more team-centric, like you get kind of pushed into each other by the layout of the map. And then you also just get players like Vex comes to mind, or Baller Steve in this case, that just know where to put it. And they hit you and knock you out every time.
2 ults, 4 kills for Baller Steve so far in this game. A couple dismounts to start off this round as well. Both teams coming out of their hidey holes just a little bit here, around to the side. Poison's going to find the kill onto Longshot as Neo forces them back. This could be a good assert dominance. Exile, though, are privy to that. Immortal does end up dropping down here from Vayne. Whirlwind was used, as well as the Dome Shield. That's going to force back to Fernando. 90 health left. There's the assert dominance. Doesn't look like he actually caught anyone stunned up, but if nothing else, putting a good zone in. Sanguine up to 54%. Faye Flight looking for anything. Jay finds the first kill in this hectic beginning to this round. 75% though for Sanguine. Plenty of fight back though for Exile. Can he do it again? Baller Steve just wide actually finds death at the hands of Bagel. Poison though able to trade out.
Willow's wings singed a little bit as she's dashing out of that one. It came incredibly close, but some good shots coming down. They lock down Poison, and they managed to get back on the point. But 87 to 24 right now. You get it back, but you're going to have to maintain some very strong amounts of control to stop Sanguine from getting back in here. With Barrage available, I wouldn't mind seeing Stigma maybe come up here, peek through the window, and drop it.
Could not have come a moment too soon. He is going to find a little plug damage onto both Bagel and Longshot here in this case. Could be a good grenade. 750 chunk damage there onto Cassie. It chooses to drop down. Bagel with one good shot cleans that one up. Double kill now for the Cassie. Could press his luck even more. Force back Sanguine just a little bit extra. If nothing else, though, Exile look like they're poised for point number 2 here once they get on the point. Finish capturing that one up. Overtime is going to begin. But nobody from Sanguine really in range to contest. And Exile off to a better start than they were last time around. already have Sanguine zoned back.
This is the least convincing of both games, right? As to Exile being maybe stronger than Sanguine, but at the same time, the most convincing point fights. They've been winning it pretty solidly, even from a deficit, even when they shouldn't be able to come through. I think you look back at when Sanguine has been able to find a lot of these return fights and get a lot of control. Right. And admittedly, it's been around that 3-time in space. Like, that definitely helped hitting 2 of those in 1 round.
True.
But I'm really interested, like, if Exile can push this, I feel like they might open the door and open up the full conversation of, you know, even though, again, I guess standings-wise considered the underdog, what to expect out of them. Because, I mean, this is a team, even player for player, if you run down the list, Sanguine just seems stronger in my mind. This is kind of breaking that feed.
Well, it's been a day of upsets today, if nothing else. I mean, Penta, I guess you consider them an upset after a 0-2 start, find the win in the first set, all business. Upseeding Sour Team in our second set. Exile off to a 1-0 start over Sanguine. It's a day of standings be damned for all of these teams. Exile looking to make it 2-0 over Sanguine. One more push would make it 3, at least on this map. It's like Sir Dominance used on the high ground here from Neo just to buy some time. Forced back, though, as Exile try to regroup, push this one through. Payload inching ever closer down there on the low ground. Good area control here from the Ash. Nobody from Exile wanting to step into that one.
Some really good shots.
Oh!
Could change everything. I like the idea, but unfortunately, again, that one's not going to quite get done, I think, what they wanted. Baller Steve on point with his shots, but not being able to find the damage of the kills. And that keeps Exile in a great position to stay aggressive.
Yeah, wow, Bagel's having himself a game here. 11 streak on the Cassie, a double kill in this fight, looking for his 3rd onto Vayne around the corner. Jay's gonna find that one, though. Sanguine now respawning from the base, not nearly enough in time. Almost ends up getting that final kill there. Exile yet again up 3-1 over Sanguine here. 1 point away from taking the second game.
And this was that moment. I think Bagel getting out of hand started once he got the kill on Stigma. Obviously, the follow-up kills were kind of facilitated by other people, but he's 12, 3, and 8 right now. He might not be the top damage in the game, but he's top impact. So, like, with everything he's been able to do,
right.
Same thing from almost 7, 3, and 8. Both of them are applying something that we're not seeing out of Sanguine, and it's just pressure in the right points. Bagel going up with long shot in this case, not Jay like it was last game, but getting aggressive on the side, making Stigma feel uncomfortable and unsafe in his own backyard for the point fight is giving this Cassian a leg up. And once he dropped down from the high ground, that was just an easy kill.
And if this start is any similar to the previous one, Bagel's putting himself in a great spot. I mean, he's just following Longshot out of this door, basically. The Khan is going to kick down the door. Bagel's going to try to find the damage to back it up. Longshot with the overpower, 1-for-1 trade. Will take a fadeaway shot from Neo. He's able to at least get something for the overpower here in this case. No kills on the back end of it just yet. Midnight from Poison's going to get this one started for Sanguine as he rounds this final corner here. Bagel, though, is going to force him back. They get almost no value out of that one. Whirlwind was used to answer it back. I guess that's a little bit of a silver lining if you're Sanguine. And Jay now up takes the mantle of Point Tank, drops the Dome Shield as well, forces back Vayne.
It's been great. Now that Longshot's back, I think we might see a little bit more aggression from the side of Exile. But they played that beautifully, to lose your off tank and then have Bagel just go, okay, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to stay right back here. Now that Longshot's back, notice them both pushed up almost immediately because they recognize where this aggression is getting them and how much control they have on the point. I mean, no one's contesting it right now. It's at 70%.
Might need assert dominance to not go out of this game. He's going to drop down. I imagine he found a couple stuns on the back end. Through time and space doesn't find anything for them this time, though. Exile have no ultimates to fight back with. Neo controlling this space. Looks like the Immortal was used there on the back end from Vayne. 421 health, stays alive. Poison with the kill onto Longshot. He's forced to dash his way out of that one. Sanguine now trying to counteract what it is that Exile were bringing. They have 4% per tick on this one. Good zone control. The bowling ball is going to get in. Try to get a contest here. Shoulder bash doesn't find any knockup. One more shot. He'll do it onto Vayne. It looks like Sanguine get themselves their second point.
I think early on, the biggest point, I guess, against Exile is where Khan goes. Dying, I think, trading out with Ash. If you don't trade out there, you win this point easily. Trading out there, though, wasn't like the end-all, be-all. I don't know if he used it a second time. We saw Overpower come through. I don't know who he grabbed with it. That's kind of where I'm lost. I don't think I saw a kill come through from it. If I did, then it was somebody else getting like the shot credit before they fell off. I'm wondering if that was used into the Immortal, and the Immortal was the CC immune. I'm not going to take this. You're not going to hit me.
Could have been.
So it does technically, I think, count and consume there for long shot. And that's that moment where it breaks apart. It's like you had all this aggression, and if you had used it on Ashe and thrown her off the map, you could kill Vayne after the Immortal's done, but they went for the other tank, I think, and that shakes up the progress a little more.
So I feel like Baller Steve used up all of his kill credits on Through Time and Space with those
Early
first
on.
two doubles. I mean, he back-to-back doubles and since failed to connect. I mean, it's hard to fault a guy too much for that. Poison here with a good chance to clean some up. Stigma's going to be the one to do it. A nice double kill on the Victor. Jay, last line of defense here. This is likely going to be a good push on the back end of a triple kill from the Victor. Neo gets the final kill in this one, and it's convincing as Exile, where Sanguine turn it right around and tie it up.
We spent like 14 minutes getting to the 3-2 position, and then they took it 3-3 at a minute after that. Like, that was a very accelerated push from Sanguine, very well executed as well. And Stigma is where the pressure was lacking that last round. It's where the pressure was the previous rounds. And notice he goes from under control, you know, top damage by a little bit, but not any crazy amount, to 50,000 damage ahead of you. He's 8-3 and 10. No one's locking him down, and he's got another barrage. Like, if Bagel and Longshot can get back there, they can stop him, then that's going to be great for them. But if they just don't have the capabilities to, if something happens, if their dominance on the side, you have Longshot dying from just too much pressure, they don't have the chance anymore.
They're stacking up the Rezils, or Exile as well. The assert dominances have been honestly great in this game. They're going to get aggressive right off the bat, or Sanguine some more daggers onto Almost will do it. They just drop the banner. No room to move for the Willow. Poison's going to get traded out by Jay, though. Baller Steve now taking up the point. Going to bring out the Whirlwind as well to try to even this fight up for Exile. Bagel going so big early on in this game, a little bit quiet down the run here. Likely going to get a kill handed to him by Longshot. The wall damage is not going to do it, but Bagel luckily is going to hit the big burst damage shot there onto Stigma. Effectively a kill from the overpower. Vayne forced back as Exile retake the point.
I love how aggressive Sanguine get with that, and then they bit off too much, right? They went super aggressive. Exile responded. Very similar to the beginning of the game, except this time Exile collapsed in on the duo and burned both of them down. It took a little longer to get rid of Neo, but they did it, and while they were doing that, they stagger out Stigma right afterwards. Like, they just kept everything under control. Baller Steve hitting another one, but I don't know, it might be too late.
He finally gets a kill onto Bagel, no less. The Cassie, so important to get rid of. Poison with the double kill on the Maeve, making a triple now in this fight, looking for one more onto Jay. Not going to happen here. Sanguine now with the chance to volley this one back. 48% for them. They're going to zone out Exile, try to retake them. 93%. Couldn't have happened a moment sooner. Exile has to go now.
Going to be holding on. Stigma getting as aggressive as he is. I actually will revise my statement. I don't think Exile have a chance of getting back to the point.
That's a nice double kill to seal this one up for Sanguine. Well played by them. They tie this one up 1-1, down to a best of 3.
That was really well played from Sanguine, I think, at the end. There were a couple of moments where it's shaky, and admittedly, I think all of the wins there, I see their fight kind of centering around a Through Time and Space connecting somewhere.
And it finally did. It finally, I mean, you go.
At the very end, he gets the
double kill. Quiet, 10 minutes with no kills on the Through Time and Space. Really kicks down the door there with a good shot towards the end. Both teams fighting back and forth, though. I mean, we got so used to, I think, in split number 1, where standings absolutely dictated the way some of these games would go. And if nothing else today, we've learned that that's certainly not the case.
Well, you can see damage numbers pretty high there for Sanguine. Stigma specifically was the one at the very top, and he made that gap between him and Bagel a lot bigger than the 50,000 that it was originally. Only, pushing it to about 60,000 and some change, but it's a lot in terms of what he's been able to do. And I think early on, again, there was a lot of pressure on him, and once that disappeared, once they started dealing with Longshot, Stigma was free firing.
And not only kills from Baller Steve, but 5-2 and 25.
Ooh.
15 KDA there for him. Poison, lots of important kills. I mean, he has 11 deaths, most in the game. But honestly, so many of those 14 kills were important. Double kills, triple kills, really sealing up fights. Exiles. He was the one who followed up onto almost there towards the end. Neo drops the banner. The daggers are good from Poison. And honestly, so pivotal in this game was the Maeve. I mean, a lot of resilience counters out that Midnight. Didn't matter. 110,000 damage, effectively a 2 KDA for Poison this time around.
And there was a lot of moments where
Oh, nice shot.
it was kind of like the fresh reminder of how much damage Maeve can do when given any sort of damage amp. I mean, that is just a good example of it. Jay, and I think the same could be said for Longshot, have trouble withstanding the daggers that Maeve was throwing out. I mean, you hit 2 580s in a row, you're taking 1,200 damage. You're getting knocked essentially out of the game. And continuing that pressure, if you just hit him once, I mean, 4,000, you're hitting a fourth of your health chunked just in that moment.
Yeah.
Then you have the follow-up. That's not even including her reset or the rest of her team. Like, it's just, it was very solid play, and I think very essential to turning that around for them.
Well, Maeve is sneaky hard to play with those daggers. I mean, not automatic by any means, and well played by Poison there. Sanguine get themselves on the board, tied up at 1. We'll have Game 3, the tiebreaker, right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins minor league.
Welcome back to the Paladins minor league, guys. Sanguine tying up the score 1-1. A very decisive match on Ice Mines as well. I mean, as just from watching that alone, like I was just talking to you about how like I felt like the Genos pick was good, not just because of the healing through walls and just because of the damage buff, but because on maps like Ice Mines and Bright Marsh, Through Time and Space can hit so easily. He has so many different angles of attack because most people hold in spots that are like choke points on those
They're
maps.
just all the hallways in Ice Mines are just like through time and space shaped
exactly, yeah.
planes of existence. That's where everybody kind of is, whether you want to go down through the lodge, up in Baller Steve's case, that critical one that kind of turned the game around was up into his own high ground, deletes Cassie, tags Khan for half his HP. And again, that was pretty much the nail in the coffin in my opinion. Everything else, obviously, the zone still had to be good. The cleanup had to be clean. But all of that, all those boxes were checked, and Sanguine were able to even it up.
Yeah, I mean, Poison did really well, too, just on the Maeve, just being able to throw out those daggers. Dave brought up a good point of it being like the resilience is something that can reduce the Midnight in terms of duration. But Bazaar actually,
finally.
I was about to say, I'm like, I've never seen
banned all day.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just never. Actually, I don't even know if it was it really banned? I just think
it was
people
banned a couple of times today.
Okay, I just didn't think people. I guess I just gotten so used to just not seeing it that like seeing it here, it's just like, whoa, did people actually just try to get rid of it, or?
Yeah, there's potential in the best of 5 territory. You can go without seeing a lot of maps for a long time. There used to be a point where a best of 7 would require we to play basically every single map in the game, and for a long time. Because maps kind of, they came out slow for a while. They're getting better about putting out maps much quicker nowadays, but there was a while where best of 7s were every map but one map. Having an additional map ban helped a little bit, but we're looking at a pretty healthy map scene, very healthy champion kind of draft scene. I don't think there's ever been a time where there's so much viable. The game's only getting more and more characters as well. The balance is improving, keeping everybody viable for one reason or another.
Yeah, exactly. Genos, Makoa are gone. Atlas, Torval gone as well. Khan is open. Sanguine does lock it first for the Ashe is picked. And I wonder in this situation, would you also try to maybe go for a Barrack? I can feel like the Ashe Barrack combo is normally pretty good. Or they can also go for Maeve. I mean, like, I do understand the pick behind that too.
Yeah, based on what's left, Barrack is definitely viable. Genos being banned out might skew you towards wanting Inara a little bit more.
Right.
Grover as well has been pretty popular on this map. A lot of long lines of sight for him to scale off of.
I will
Get
bring
those safe whirlwinds off from behind the corner. A little Furia action.
Right.
Seen a decent amount of her today. And in general, I think she's definitely on the come up in the Premier League. People just loving that Inflame ultimate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, we've seen it just pick so many frequent times today. They do go for the barrack, just not in Maeve's spot. They just go for it. They want to make sure they can confirm that barrack would be a good pick there. Is why probably they didn't pick it immediately. They went for Ashe because I feel like Ashe just has a chance anywhere with the Cert Dominance, just being able to lock down a lot of people.
Cert Dominance is great. Shoulder Bash is good on this map, clearing those big lines of sight that we just talked about Grover abusing as well. And on top of all of that, you have one of the longer, ranges on your weapon as a frontliner, so you're able to kind of poke over long distances. If you lean that way, Slug Shot is sometimes a talent that you go for on this map, like Sadat, for instance. We know he of Space Station. He loves that Slug Shot pretty much anywhere he can rock it, so we'll be on the lookout for that one on load-in.
Yeah, Grover is picked. I wonder who they might try and go for. Cassie and Leon are both gone. Nothing to really deal with Concha but Strix. Okay, interesting. Now, here's what this is interesting to me. I'm not sure the reason behind this, because you don't normally see Strix be picked on this map. It's because of how open it can be. Because I don't think he has a lot of lines of sight that he can cover without getting shot from Leon or getting pressure from Cassie.
Yeah, and frankly, though, the same goes for them.
True,
true.
Good
It's so mechanical. It's really about who hits their stuff. Strix is going to be vulnerable when he peeks. The girls are going to be vulnerable when they peek.
Yeah, that's very true. Exile, Sanguine, 1-1. Game 3 on the way. Casters, take us into it.
Happy to do it, Fawn. Getting down in here into Game 3. Bizarre, Gore, you always see it banned down, but finally we get a little bizarre action here. The music is good, the map is fun, the comps are interesting, and it's a tiebreaker map.
And it is so open to different strategies. This is the second time that I have personally seen a sniper pulled out on this map, and I'm interested to see how this one will do. First time was Kinessa, and it was Mutu.
Right.
This time around, you get the Strix, who I think is going to maybe be a little more consistent is the right word.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it's going to perform. Normally, like, Grover has kind of been taking that role of, we'll grab him as a DPS, go Ferocity, and let him be our quote-unquote sniper, where we can still fight close range, still fight long range, still fight mid-range. Like, he just covers all aspects, where this time Aspect is just going to be covering the healing portion.
And not all aspects. Love the chicken head costume here from Bagel Wow as well. Never actually seen this one before, so it's a treat for me here today. Hope for some good shots. It's going to be a lot of this, controlling these long sight lines, trying to trade out, but already forced into the stealth there by the Leon on the opposite side. One more shot onto the Fury on the opposite side. Will do it. Almost is going to be the one to find Baller Steve. A double kill on the Stigma as well. Set up by the Strix, knocked down by the Maeve, and already forced really out of any sort of comfort is Sanguine.
I mean, 30%, they are perfectly happy as Exile. Poison's getting chased down. Vayne is so far isolated away from the objective. Jay is hitting a Kalinka dance out here in front of him as well.
Wait, is he going to die?
And he's going to be able to live through it. If he was going to die, then that's some maximum BM. But, or I guess just desserts, really, in that case. But this time, it is the maximum BM. Because he got so close, they were like, maybe we'll get him. Maybe it'll pay back. And he still walks away out of there.
I guess he had it much more calculated than I did. I didn't have my eye on the Rocket Boots cooldown there. Bowling Ball surely would have saved him if anything got too hairy there. Exile nonetheless on the back end of some good setups and follow-ups are on the board first with 1-0 in our third set of the day, trying to break this tie down to a best of 3 here. And maybe the mid fight is where Strix feels most comfortable, and this is kind of a peek in, peek out, quick scope style for Strix down this push.
Being able to find, those angles is probably going to be the most difficult. But if they can actually take this room back from Sanguine, I think he can post up kind of around the corner back here where Khan is fighting right now. And all of a sudden it becomes a better fight for Strix. But you got to get there first. And right now all the poke in the world's doing you some good work.
That's a whirlwind into a double stun on the Assert Dominance. Bagel Wow with the double kill this time. Exile, clean sweep. Sanguine respawning back in base. Actually, Stigma's the only one, I think, not to drop. Just
he brought his own chair too.
Hanging out in his own chair, emoting for a little bit of that third party around the side here. He is caught out, though. especially with Grover on your side. You have to be in range to get some of that healing, or Furia, excuse me. Is going to find it, going to walk out of that gate here. Aspect, the Grover on the opposite side, finds the kill onto Poison. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Stigma coming back into this fight. Vayne so low, one more shot will do it. Dome Shield drop down. You have the Seismic Crash, maybe to stall this one out. A double kill from the Leon on the back end of the Inflame. Stigma has to leave the fight, re-enters to the tune of a double kill, and Exile are all forced back.
It's going to be 50 seconds left for them to try and figure out where to come back into it. Stigma, it's, I don't want to say been quiet, but it's been a little less, I think, impactful from him specifically than I expected to see. But at the same time, you've got 2 carries on your team that can do the exact same amount of stuff. You see him kind of poking his head out in the kill feed a lot more now. And it does come down, I think, to what you had pointed out. I mean, it's just very difficult, I think, for Strix in this portion of the map to figure it out. Like, there's point fight, and there's the last half of the push. And I think that first 50 to 60%, he just doesn't have anywhere to stand. He doesn't have a home.
Oh, Stigma just catches an axe to the face from all the way across the map. Good toss there from Aspect. Just a little bit too much of a peek from the Leon. Bagel gets taken down as well. Aspect continuing to provide some kill pressure. Sanguine nonetheless grab themselves a good defense. Well fought round there. 3-0-6 for the Grover. 5 kills for Almost as well. 5-1. I want to see how close. Health bar melting, melting, melting. Bowling ball. Yeah, I mean, he was 2 health bars of health there. He got very close. I mean, the bowling balls, I think, maybe keep that a little less close. But in reality, they nearly turned that one around.
He still got away with it.
He did.
And at the end of the day, that's all he cares about. If you ask him,
despite those meddling
full
kids,
calculated.
That's right. Oh, absolutely.
He knew
he did.
exactly how much health he was going to have, when he needed to stop the dance, so on and so forth. Almost here, I believe, was 5-1 running into this. A lot of pressure coming down from Maeve. 3-0-6 there. The Undying for Aspect. It's just the tandem duo of Strix Maeve. Pop him for 100 or for 1,800. Maybe not even get him for 1,200, and you're perfectly fine, no matter what.
Wow.
You flank him around, you control him.
Flank.
Who needs anyone on the point?
Yeah, I mean, so calculated there. Long shot wraps around the back end. Jay and the rest of the squad hold down that opening doorway, and Sanguine just completely caught out there. Well fought from Exile. Back on the point here, 48% climbing up. They're going to cross that halfway point. Lightman doesn't find a kill. Didn't really look like it found any damage either. Bit of wishful thinking there from Stigma. 75%. Bagel Wow. Gonna have a great angle on the ingressors. Finds the kill onto the healer. Baller Steve is no more. Low health bars are a result on the side of Sanguine. Forced back. And Exile back on the board here with their second point.
And just as aggressive. I actually think if Bagel can get a couple picks now, like, again, find the positioning early, get rid of them early so you can move up and be more aggressive. I think the Strix is going to have more of a home here, but you can see, like, this corner, not necessarily the best. You can plug them for 1,200, but it's a very awkward angle. You're having to fight through 2 doorways to make that work. You really want to move up into the corner where they just work.
Using a lot here to get rid of a few of the members of Exile. Sanguine now starting to flood the gates. For the first time this game, the fight is going to be taking part on the opposite side of this archway. I don't think we've seen this much of this map so far in this game. Minute 45 seconds left. Poison has a little bit of a flank coming in from behind him. Has to keep his eye out for that. I think it might just be the Grover. Or no, it is Bagel. Actually, he's going to be happy to take that duel. 2 shots is all he needs to get rid of the Strix. Not before Bagel had a nice double snipe, just trading back and forth. Sanguine will be happy to take these trades. Stalls out the push just that much further.
Jeez, these daggers. It's so hard sometimes. It's always a little mind-blowing.
True.
How fast that turnaround can be. Maeve hitting Cassie for just as hard as Cassie hits Maeve, essentially, and being able to trade that out. Unfortunately, Strix, while he can hit that hard, it's a little slower in terms of execution, and it takes him just so much more precision and reaction time to make sure it happens versus Cassie, who can click, 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 boom, you're dead, right? You have 2 abilities, or an ability that's going to blow you up. And if you're doing the proper, like, animation cancel, you get the shots off incredibly fast. And so as it is right now, I mean, you're in a great position to keep doing what you're doing and continue this amount of aggression.
Well, and Flame sets them up. Only 1 kill. That is going to time out now. Bagel Wow's able to stealth his way back. Enlightenment from Stigma is going to find the execute. Aspect staying alive, finding the daggers. Now it's a Leon off to the opposite side. Back behind the cart here. They're happy to keep this one moving forward, though. Too many places to look. Bagel finally finds the kill. Nice double kill for the Strix. Angles be damned as the streak extends to a 5 here. 13 seconds left. Will likely go to overtime here. Need to find one more pick to make this possible. Unfortunately, he didn't see the giant stone warden approaching him. Bagel long shot, both gone. Likely another good defense here from Sanguine.
It's just so difficult. The Strix gives so much pressure on the objective that disappears. And it's just that void where you're fighting 4v5 needs to go so perfectly in your favor to get to the point where he's part of the last half of the push. Like, Bagel is playing phenomenally.
It's like that middle ground is.
But just where he can.
Right. It's like the initial mid fight, great. It's like the push where they keep getting stalled out around that first corner prior to that second corner. They know where everyone's coming from. Sanguine knows where Exile's pushing from because there's only one way you can go. And that's maybe a little bit of fall off. They're just playing too aggressively, and Bagel can't get comfortable.
And it's like a double dip because you can't really change your position either, because then you're just cool on the other end of the push one. And you're only going to see them if they're getting aggressive. You're not. You can't do anything with it. It's an unfortunate layout, I think, of the push for the Strix. Whereas right here, I mean, this is bread and butter. Look at that.
I'll take that. I'll take that every day of the week. Stigma can't participate for a few more seconds. Midnight gets countered out by the Cassie ultimate here. Good shots from Bagel. No more healing, he says. Exile, though, not on the point just yet as Sanguine take up that mantle.
I mean, he goes in maybe a little bit too hard, does miss the flare, doesn't get the damage from that, so Vayne picks up that kill. And that might just end it, honestly, there for Exile. They do have a chance to come in and retake. They do still have some bodies on the board, but that was very well played.
One more axe might just seal it up. The good heal, though, is going to bring it back. Whirlwind naturally getting used here. Jay is going to be topped off, drops the dome shield, forcing back Stigma, who's somehow stayed alive throughout all this. Not much longer, though. Good shots from Jay there on the barrack. And it looked like Sanguine were going to run away with that one. The two-man last stand from Exile, though, holds strong. Assert dominance used towards the end. Whirlwind just tops everyone else off. Now Sanguine are forced back, 72%. Good stun, long shot, trying to stay alive. No shield. Shoulder bash is going to keep him alive. 87% for Exile. Sanguine in a sticky situation.
Trying to do whatever they can to retake it, but I like the way Exile play this of, we're going to give up the objective, you can have it. But they're not really giving up space. They're just moving around the walls, around the point. Unfortunately, I think Barrack might take a couple too many steps away from this objective. Now with the seismic crash coming through, that's 2 kills, looking on 3.
Stigma with the double, looking for a triple. Oh, nice wall. I was super confused there for a moment. Actually ends up getting walled off, prevents Jay from getting in, getting a touch. Vayne rounds out that kill. This is the first time we've seen Sanguine pushing this game, and they're doing it for the win.
And potentially able to, not only convert it, find a win, but really keep them locked down and maybe showcase another portion of the map that maybe Strix doesn't have the strength on. Although, again, you were mentioning, so there's the corner right as you break through, where I guess is opposite where Ash is right now. First corner, and then the second corner right around here. That I think a lot of people are going to be, where the fight is taking on, where Longshot's trying to find a defense. I think Strix, good on the push there, good on the defense there, because he can just poke his head out of the base and find those shots. So it'll be interesting, again, the last half of this push and how it will go. But you'll notice, I think, a lot quicker to get to this point and a lot more control still in favor of Sanguine here.
Exile are finding all the picks at the moment, though. Looks like no team is bound for a successful push on this one. Seems like we're steamrolling towards a .7. It's just a strong defensive map. You kind of know where the offense is pushing from. There's kind of three lanes you can take straight ahead of Maeve right now. You know, the main street and then the buildings on the left side of the street. So it's basically left, right, or center, but all going in the same direction. So a little vertical mobility maybe changes things. Sanguine does not have any of that, though. Flame gets used here from Sanguine. No kills just yet, trying to break down the door. Midnight gets answered back with on Exile. Almost looking for a kill. Jay's gonna do it to Poison. Now wrapping around the backside. A couple more series of daggers onto Vayne. You can't exit that door, Inara. She's caught out right now. He's losing the trade. Vayne actually somehow coming out on top of that one. Almost just needs to hit these daggers. He's not doing it. Has to call in Grover for reinforcements. The wall is going to keep her alive. Vayne just wants out. It's not going to happen. Now Grover's got to get into melee range. He actually lets him out. Aspect opens the gate and Vayne walks free. No way.
Vayne screaming the opposite. Let me out. And Aspect obliges. I don't think that's what he intended to do, but he's full health. He, without losing his life, has come back, reset, seismic crash. He's still in the engagement. He's still ready to keep going. And honestly, this might be what can help them seal the deal.
Oh, it's a good stun. Unfortunately, Poison gets lost. Vayne might finally meet his demise. He does here. Stigma with the trade back. Some funny interactions there, but Exile find themselves a defense, and we are indeed headed to point number 7.
That was
That's incredible.
That was an engagement. I think
that was a fight. That was a fight
for Vayne. I mean, being able to get let out of there was big for him. Aspect not intending to. That was definitely the go in for the kill moment, but Vayne just goes slinking through the door.
If only it actually ended up resulting in a Sanguine push, that would have been
win,
the greatest thing. 5-7 for Vayne, though. Gets let out of one that time.
Could have been 5 and 8.
You're right. You're right. Could have been 5 and 8. Well, he ended up 5 and 7 anyway. He left, came back into the fight, and immediately died anyway. But you're right. Could have been worse. Aspect has a great looking slash line. Top it all off. People rounding the final corner here. Final item build. 0.7 to break this tie.
A couple of good shots here early on are going to make the difference, but I think the biggest thing is going to be how aggressive does Almost get on Maeve, and where do these Strix shots land, and how impactful are they? Because these two early on were the ones that were causing the big disruption and giving Exile their points. Last round they were nowhere near as big, and because of that we saw, I think, a bigger return push from Sanguine.
It's been a quieter back half from Bagel, looking for the shot onto Vayne. Gonna get rid of that Inara. Neo and Stigma, though, still alive. So low is Poison on this Cassie. He's able to stay alive with the help of the Fury on his side, forcing Exile back now, looking to get aggressive. A few more blast shot will do it. Gonna send out the scout. They know exactly where Bagel is. He makes good on that shot. Knows where long shot's coming from as well. 84%, 87, 90, 93. Not sure he's gonna be in range to get the touch. Looks like the Assert Dominance is going to drop down onto the point. If they're able to assassinate this Ashe, this game is over. Almost needs to find a pick as well. Baller Steve escapes somehow. Poison finds the kill. Long shot is able to trade out.
Trying to do whatever they can. That's going to be 2 big ones picked up for Exile, but they're losing probably their 2 biggest targets right now. No Maeve, no Strix. You can fight with the tanks, but is it going to be enough?
Poison, the huge damage numbers coming out of the Cassie. Could turn this one around. He loses the duel. Jay comes in with the save. Exile not close to winning the game just yet. Could not have come a moment sooner for Exile, though. 99% for Sanguine. Whoever wins this goes up 1 game to end this set.
Overpower, Seismic Crash coming online here for Sanguine. And they have Flashbang on the side.
He
misses the Overpower, so effectively they have the one ult to try and make the big difference, and let's see what they can do with it.
He's gonna have to dash in there. Still Seismic Crash, ready to go. Neo has to back off here. 99% overtime, not started just yet. Poison wins the fight with the Aspect of all people on the back end. No more Stigma though. You have the Cassie, but you have no healer for Exile. Jay trying to get involved. Vayne finds the kill. Seismic Crash gets used. Almost up and over, but now they have Inflame ready to go. That's likely gonna seal the deal. Maybe a miracle play from Bagel, but it's not gonna happen, and well fought there from Sanguine to go up 2-1.
It was just the right ults at the right time in the right spot. Like Overpower not connecting I don't know if it changes as much as it could. It's maybe a kill a lot earlier in the fight to be able to get them back in and in control faster.
Yeah.
But they slow the roll down. They recognize we've got what we need. And the fight goes just on long enough to give them that inflame to be like, okay, like if we thought we were going to win before, now we have to.
That was close in a game of no pushes, only caps and defends this time around. The Strix Maeve, so potent to start off this game. Little bit of a dip around that final corner. I mean, in the first couple of rounds, you saw a beautiful snipe from Bagel. Doesn't necessarily finish off the kill, but almost is right in range to hit those daggers. And, you know, that kind of 1-2 punch was a little bit missing there towards the final end. Well fought from Exile, but Sanguine does end up taking the day.
And honestly, I think it is coming down to the adaptation from Poison and Stigma, the way they kind of fought it. Early on, they were poking out, I think, a lot more where Bagel was looking for them later, and no one was looking for Almost, right? So the first couple rounds, they're getting pincered by, okay, we just took 1,200 to 1,800 damage, and now there's a Maeve right behind us. Then they started saying, okay, well, you go look for the Maeve. I'm going to stand about 2 feet back from where I was, so this pillar will cover me. and then we'll see what happens. And Bagel was able to hit a little less shots, almost was caught out a little bit more often, and just didn't let them accelerate the way they did early on.
I think Stigma had the quietest good game maybe that I've seen today. 13-9, 101,000 damage. I mean, so much of the talk, the view was put on to Poison for good reason. I mean, the Cassie was doing great damage, but this Leon from Stigma really helped Sanguine stay in this one.
Just dropping it down, and moments like that. I mean, look where he was positioned. This is during a push, but that's kind of where he stood sometimes during the point fight as well.
Yeah.
Changing the angles, changing where they can come through. It's the second time a sniper has come through on a map like this, and I think, again, I'm understanding why Ferocity is a little stronger, and it's just you can play the different angles. You can move up. You don't have to deal with the scope link kind of detrimenting where your damage goes and forcing you to fall in a further fight.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a fun one to watch. It's so fun. Both these teams so close. 3-3 ends up with Sanguine on top now. One game away from sealing up the set. We'll see what happens after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins minor league.
Back to the Paladins minor league, guys. Sanguine game 3 in the books for them on Bazaar. Very, very well played, not only from both teams, but I think that's what's so interesting about Bazaar. It's just the fact that there's always so many unique fights that happen because they're fighting literally all over the place. They're fighting for something, whether it's for the point, for high ground, underneath the high ground. Like, there's always something going on about Bazaar.
Cool elements with the gates there. How long we saw Vayne get like trapped up against the wall there, walled himself in the corner. Aspect vines over because the grudge match. He saw the opportunity to kill Vayne and he wanted to take it, but he actually opened up the gate, let Vayne escape. A lot of fun little interactions with those gates. Newest map in the game as well, so people still kind of learning it, mastering. We've seen a big difference in the way people play around Bazaar in just the first couple of weeks to the spot we're in now. Starting to see Sanguine come together a little bit more. These are still close games. These are still absolutely just wars time and time again. But Sanguine just eking this one out yet again.
Yeah, we're going to look at the maps real quick and see what we have in store for us for Game 4 as well. Warder's Gate, interesting. You don't see this map as often.
Yeah, man, this has been kind of a little bit of a wild set. Based on the bans, I was thinking we were just going to get that standard bright Jag and then maybe a Stone Keep or something like that. But not the case here. Ice Mines into Bazaar, into Warder's Gate. And we had some of the more fringe maps banned out, too. We're still seeing this more niche stuff. Maybe these teams trying to catch each other off balance with some type of pocket strategy. Could be that. Warder's Gate, still one of the newer maps in the game. I believe this was just before Shattered Desert, if I'm remembering correctly. So not super new, but not super old by any stretch. Warder's Gate, Shattered Desert, Bazaar came out relative to the rest of the maps in the lineup, pretty rapid fire, I have to say. Map team Level Designs been doing a pretty good job making these maps unique as well. You kind of look across all of them. Warder's Gate has the jump crystal jet things. Bazaar has the gates. Shattered Desert just way more open than most siege maps are. So each of them kind of having a special little unique nugget about them.
Right, exactly. Khan and Genos are locked on one side, and the other, Ashe being the third character that's picked overall during this draft. They do have the damage, and they do have the Ashe as well. Now, Khan being on the other side on Sanguine, he did pretty good in Bazaar. He did hold his own in that fight. In those fights, I should say, plural. Maeve is picked up after him, though, which I do understand. They have been running. I have been seeing a lot of Maeve, Khan, and Leon. Yeah, so they're not looking to mess around.
Yeah, Poison's looking good on the on the Maeve, and Leon has been just that real standard counter pick for flanks. We looked at, given the Brightmarsh draft though, I was wondering if they were going to go this way, because obviously it's a great compliment to have both Predator and Prey in the same food chain, so you don't have to worry about either, really.
Right.
But on Brightmarsh, picking that Willow into Leon, and then likewise they picked a Grover straight back into the Willow.
Right.
These teams haven't been super afraid of these paper matchups, at least at the start of the set. As things evolve, priorities change, the drafts will sort of inherently change, the way these teams play will be a little bit different. Hold the phone, it looks like there could be more to this Leon pick. Not only was she a good answer to Maeve, but seeing now the rest of the cards starting to be played, Sanguine will be going for 3 DPS.
Yeah, they not only are they locking 3 DPS, they have the Furia to back it up with the Inflame. That's going to mean a lot of high damage, damages, or I guess DPS in this case on Sanguine's side. Victor is picked up along with Cassie, though. That's going to sting. I feel like on paper that's going to sting against the Khan. That shield's going to be broken like almost like every single time by that Cassie.
Yeah, Khan's going to have to play this one almost like Barrack would.
Right,
Exactly. He's there to cap the point when it's time to cap the point, but he's not going to be able to do it on his own. He's going to be out there to go use a very effective ultimate, and Overpower is not the same effect as a Dome Shield, but hopefully it will still get the job done.
Yeah, hopefully it will, with Khan being the only solo tank in this game on Sanguine's side. Let's see if they can close it out. Casters, take us away.
Happy to do it for you. Game 4 getting ready to kick off here. You're right, though. You get triple DPS. Your only tank is a Khan. I'm shaking in my boots a little bit. But you picked the right damage dealers this time around. It's going to be a fun one. Warder's Gate, you got Sanguine, you got Exile, up 2-1, ready to end this set. Is the triple DPS composition. Can they do it, though, Gormizer, is the question of the day.
Well, they're poised to, I guess, set things up for success, right? And it's just going to be Neo flexing from that off tank onto the blaster once again. So something we know he can do, very similar to if you see NIP have Diggy flex on like a Bomb King. But it's going to be the movement, and I think the impact of Poison, where Stigma positions, and how well they can maybe shut down Ashe on the side more than anything, because of the fact that she's going to be fighting straight into him. And without a dedicated point tank, you kind of have to look at this being a fight-centric. If they don't win a fight early, they might just lose all pressure on the point.
Well, already Neo is zoning out 3 members of Exile. One good salvo sets up the rest of the waterfall here. Poison on the daggers. That's the kill onto Longshot. No range for anyone on Exile to find any sort of space. There's too much aggression from too many different spots. Vayne playing aggressively. They're going to just stick the healer on the point now as they tighten their grasp on this zone here, trying to get the dismounts. 54% could quickly become 100 if Exile aren't able to break this.
A lot of pressure, I think, on the long shot maybe to try and break back in there. He's going to have the best dash to do so. He's going to get body blocked out. He hits the doorway as well, so it's kind of double making sure that he doesn't fully go through. Not going to be able to touch down. I mean, Vayne, like, they moved, not Vayne, sorry. The Inara on the one side did move in Jay. Went to stand, got a little bit of percentage early on, but that 3-man zone from essentially just Neo early on, but having everybody else pile in and recognize how much damage could be done there and how many kills were available, just made it too difficult for Exile to figure out how to get back in.
I mean, is that surprising, though, seeing how convincingly Sanguine took this first half? Is this like an early game thing where, you know, maybe later on Exile start to get some cauterizes on lines? I mean, the Wrecker maybe specifically for the Khan just makes that front line a little uncomfortable, or is that just the power of triple DPS?
Honestly, I think right now we're seeing the power of triple DPS. I think Khan is going to be able to give a little bit, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, Khan kind of facilitates a quad DPS.
Yeah,
but,
it's like 3.5. You get 3.5 DPS.
I mean, he's just going to be able to facilitate them, right? He's going to create a little bit of space for the Maeve so she can go in, a little bit of space for the Drogo so they can go in. Like, it's just making things easier. Even right there, they find a nice little toss off of the map with Jay.
Yeah, and tumbling in is almost, has to get in range. Now Aspect is the next one to give it a try. One more member is going to be Bagel, who's going to toss his hat into that ring. Long shot very low, is able to trade out a kill here. The Enlightenment might just seal it up. It connects, but 900 health keeps him alive. The last-ditch effort from Longshot may have just won his team this round. 60 seconds left, though. Inflame is out. Sanguine want to end this one now.
Honestly, if Longshot, if they have triple DPS for Exile there,
oh no,
then that round ends 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Luckily, they have the 2 tanks. Luckily, they had another body that could stop it for a little bit, but it was only a little bit.
That was a great commander's grab as well from Vayne, just tossing Jay out of the way. It looked like just for a moment the kills weren't staggered so heavily that Exile might have their way back into it, with Sanguine having to walk a little bit further from their respawns. But well played from them. Stigma staying alive, Enlightenment connecting, an all-around convincing push from Sanguine. Now just 2 points away from ending this set.
And that was just such a convincing round that it's hard to argue against them, although that is how the day started as well, so it's not something to write Exile out of. I think pathing for them has to be different this time around. They can't send 3 people into the one area, and you can see 3, maybe only 2, use the jump jet on the other side to be able to get up, and they are not going to let a 3-man salvo stop them this time.
Yeah, but look at this flank from Stigma. He knows where Bagel is around the opposite side. He might win this trade. Looks like the shots are good. The sprinting Victor just playing around a little bit of environment there. Finally, Bagel meets his demise. Long shot, the only saving grace here for Exile. Nice double kill, looking to make it 3. The good shots onto Poison. 3 kills in this round. They were fighting from the point the entire time. Exile are going to get themselves onto the board.
That's the downside to not having a Barrack or an R on your side. Like, yes, you can be aggressive, but if your aggression doesn't get you kills immediately, you lose pretty much all pressure you might have on the point. Or you have to reassess the situation, right? You have 1 DPS deep in their back line, 1 on the side, 1 on the other side. Like, you're so separated, and you have to decide pretty much in that moment, oh, let's all look at the Inara instead of try to get the kill over here, try to get that kill. You're just so separated that I think that led to Exile being even more comfortable. I mean, there was almost no pressure on Jay.
He was able to basically free play that entire round because of it. Stigma had a smart flank, actually a nice double kill here. Poison gonna take away the triple. He'll be happy with that though. Dragon Punch just missing. Able to get the flick shot onto Long Shot nonetheless. And Sanguine are on defense here. It's always worth pointing out. Exile are trying to push the payload, but Sanguine are putting the chokehold on that, not letting them out of their base. The solo seismic crash from Jay, a little bit of a spray to follow it up, 1.5 minutes left. It'll charge up somewhat quickly. I wouldn't say very quickly, but it'll be ready at least for the next mid-fight likely.
And being able to force that kind of ult out, again, the biggest thing was dismounting and pulling whatever you can, right? You're just trying to make sure Exile don't get back to the payload and have it feel like maybe a free push for the rest of the way. They control him.
Oh no!
Unfortunate fall for Poison. I can't think of any other way to word that. Like, I mean, he's literally in like the one spot that the jump jet's not going to grab him and the map's not going to catch him.
He doesn't have the reset on the jump or any of that. Unfortunate for him. Likely not super impactful to this round. Just a little bit of a loss of presence. Enlightenment's going to confirm the kill. Gets traded out with almost. Poison as well. Takes up the opposite side there. Sounded like he said triple kill just now. I might have missed the double kill at least for Poison. This is just methodical from Sanguine running down the members of Exile right now. Both teams playing this one quite slowly. You have Overpowered, Dragon Punch, Midnight now in Flame, ready to go for Sanguine. With how firm their control is on this offensive push, can't imagine them using any of that this time around. Looking to maybe seal the game on this next mid. Exile in a similar spot here. Double kill from Almost, though, makes this somewhat interesting. They actually are going to get Jay into position to contest.
He's about half health, though. For Inara, that honestly could mean anything. With the Genos behind her, it might not be full reset, so Jay definitely within the realm of possibility of just getting burned down faster. They get rid of Vayne. They keep the pressure going. They reset overtime in time as well. And now they're coming around the last corner. This is a composition that can withstand a lot of damage. I don't know how it's going to do against triple DPS if they try to break the base here.
Yeah, they need to find a pick Sanguine need to do the same to avoid using any ultimates here. Looks like Inflame is going to be the one that Sanguine tried to use to turn this one around. Jay solo, Vayne finds the kill, and that overtime meter evaporated as soon as the Inara was taken out. Now 3-1 up our Sanguine over Exile. They only use the Inflame. Everything else is up and ready for them. Seismic Crash soon to be ready for Exile. They'll have 5 ultimates strong as we maybe go into this final mid to decide the set.
So much that can go right, so much that can go wrong. I think you look at transitions through the rounds. Exile approached that fight better. I think their best bet is still, Jay to the point, but it is going to be how well can, well, at this point, I guess just almost, since he's 10-7, he's really the one picking up the kills. Can he continue shutting down Drogos? Can he continue shutting down Stigma? Can you get rid of Poison? And how much can Bagel do on top of that, right? Those two, their performance is going to be kind of hinging on how much they can stop Sanguine from getting aggressive.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're looking to do with Poison here. Forced back, Dragon Punch from Neo, trying to turn things around. Tries to find his way around the through time and space. He does it. Gets the pick onto Jay. Jay has been so vital to Exile having some point presence here. Aspect finally finds the kill onto the Dragon through time and space. Missed just prior. Poison still alive, gets the kill. The return kill onto Aspect nonetheless, almost. Trying to find these good shots. 27 health for the Leon. Isn't unable to win that trade. Baller Steve finds it. The Assert Dominance banner gets tossed down. Out of it, though, goes the Overpower. They're going to get the kill onto Longshot here. A double kill now for the Mave. Exile's up to 58%. Jay is soon to fall. And Sanguine can put their grip onto this offensive cap and seal up this one.
I mean, that was probably best case scenario for Sanguine. But also, like, worst case scenario, like, it was the worst, best case that they could have gotten, where it's just like, we're getting everyone incredibly low, just within the realm of being able to find a kill, and we're going to be able to get the kill, even though it's going to be a one-for-one trade, but the people we're leaving behind are going to be able to do enough. And now they're in position. It's still behind by 10%, thanks to the comeback mechanic here for Exile. But they can still get some kills.
That's a bit of a zoning Seismic Crash. Ultimate starting to fly, unfortunately for Exile, though. Aspect is the first one to get picked off here. Bagel is going to have to make the hero play this time to turn this one around. He ends up dying. Poison gets the kill. Stigma sides around the corner, finds the kill onto Jay almost as maybe the last line of defense here. It's a double kill, and Baller Steve rounds it out, and Sanguine are going to take the game, and they're going to take the set.
There is that key moment. You see Khan and Leon both, like, incredibly low, and they just take a little peek behind the stairs. They're just like, all right, we're going to hide for a second, come back out, get the overtime touch. Stigma goes the other way, and it's just, again, a fight on two fronts. They pincer down 3 members. And it's shot onto Jay. That's all they needed.
That's right. It was a fun set to watch, though. Got some 4-3s in there. That one a little bit more convincing out of 4-1. The team higher in the seed, the team that you might consider the favorites in this one, do end up winning the day. Exile showing a lot of fight, though. They end up winning the first map. 4v3 doesn't go their way. And Sanguine's able to win 3 straight on the back end of that. Quick look at the post-game stats, though. Stigma at 81K tops the damage charts. Neo not far behind. Poison at 51,000. Just out of range of a couple of the Exile guys, but triple damage, too much.
Honestly, I think the aggression they played with, so credit, I think, more to Vayne than anything, but Neo getting that very good triple kill. Exile played phenomenally today. I think that game was a little bit more skewed towards Sanguine, but based on the first 2 games, you could definitely see where they're going to be able to fight back. I think they're just going to have to deal with a lot more. There was too much, I think, coming down from Sanguine there. And it wasn't all just Stigma or Neo or Poison. Baller Steve put his name in the book, too.
Yeah, 5-1 and 18. Are you kidding me? Baller Steve.
The 14 KDA.
Great performance. Had beautiful through times and spaces today. You know, the Furia conversation is so much, not even so much about healing, but what kind of offensive pressure can you bring as well. Baller Steve has that. Like I said, 5 kill confirms. That's not often you get to see too much of that, and he does it with the best of them. Good healing. And that's a tall task. You get triple DPS, most of them very mobile, being able to do a good amount of healing, find some kills, keep your sole hybrid off-tank frontliner healthy and alive. That's a very hectic game in the mind of a healer.
And there was that moment, actually, in that last replay where you see Leon going for the dash, going for the flank at the very end, and he Just scoots to the left, just where there's enough of a hill drop where you can see under the bridge to hit him. And it's just those moments and like the knowledge of the map, that's the kind of thing that will excel your gameplay, that excels your team into a victory like that.
Well, that's the last we get to see of Sanguine here today. They've now played everyone in this league. They're going to be nice in that second place spot. We're going to get to see your first place team in action, of course, that being Hype Unit, right after this break.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins minor league.